so welcome everybody. This is Ann with the Clearinghouse, Ann Rosinski with the California Earthquake Clearinghouse, and this is our 10th, I believe, weekly training session on using different applications to share information that are connected through XchangeCore. And we're doing this because during the May exercise, the week of May 11th, to be prepared and ready and trained up what capabilities and how to use them before the exercise happens. They can be doing their job. You can all be doing your job rather than trying to redirect and try to understand what this is, how all this works. And I also want to say, so for the purposes of this exercise, we are demonstrating capability with a few specific tools, but they're, again, by no means the only tools or technologies that can connect and share information through XchangeCore. So we are going to be using ArcGIS Online, which you see on the screen right now, Google Earth, WebEOC, and also we have our Clearinghouse Spot On tool and the Clearinghouse Field Notes application. But we're also going to be pulling information from things like service data from Cal EPA or plume models from other organizations. So we're going to have a lot of different information available. And the idea is for this exercise, we're going to be focusing on being able to just share the information. That's a huge step forward. We've never been able to do that before. Again, for every disaster, everybody has their own role and responsibility, so we want to let people use whatever specialized tool works best for them. But the data is agnostic. It shouldn't be confined to being viewed or used on only one tool or platform technology. The data, everybody has a right to it. Everybody should be able to access it and use it so that they can do their job more effectively. And so that's what we've been focusing on. And you're going to need credentials to be able to log into the XchangeCore Connector. If you don't have those, you can contact me. And so for today's lesson, we're going to be going over again how to select information, a specific subset of information by drawing a polygon around it and then sharing that information out so that it's going to be usable and viewable on other tools. So I believe that's about right that we're covering today.
Sure, if that's what you want.
Okay, or and whatever other.
Right. Yep.
And so we'll go ahead and I'll let enjoy.
All right. I want to make this very basic so that you can follow the steps. And we actually are, as I go through these steps, Ann is going to be recording the steps so that we can end up with a nice standard set of this is exactly how you do this thing. There's a user's guide out there, and it tries to do that, but hopefully this will make it even clearer. So we start out, step number 1, you have to log into an ArcGIS Online. That's going to be the origin of our data. How you get the data into ArcGIS Online is entirely up to you. It can be put in as a feature service, can be part of your ArcGIS and be an ArcGIS map server, that information that you can get. That's entirely up to you. But you're going to end up with something like this. And I've logged into this web map that has a bunch of things. I've got stuff like California schools, of which there are a million of them out there. And I don't want to have all those. These happen to be McDonald's. So I got McDonald's there. I've got dams and wastewater and all the other stuff. You've got some area of specialization. Healthcare, schools, critical infrastructure. That's what your web map is going to be. What we want to do is take the information that you have on your web map and make it available to somebody else. But not make it available to them by saying, I've got 1 million schools in California, here they are. But rather, here are the 10, 5, 100 schools that are affected so that you can pass on the information that you have about schools or hospitals or nursing homes to somebody else in the narrowest, most useful format possible. So it starts out on your web map right here. And in this case, I'm going to work with McDonald's just because they're up here. So I own McDonald's. and I want to tell you what McDonald's have been affected by a problem. So, got them all right here. The way that I'm going to share them with other people without having to let them into my ArcGIS Online account and certify them and do all the other stuff is through the connector. This URL is in the user's guide, and I'm going to paste it in here. And that gets me to some, if you'll note up here, web map that says replace me. This thing up here tells you where you want the connector to go. Where I want it to go, coming back over here to that web map that I had before, is described for me right up here. So out of my ArcGIS Online web map, I'm going to paste that into this space. We got one of these right there. That's my web map. I'm coming back over here. I'm going to take this web map component and I'm going to replace it over here. Bingo. We now have this URL that gets me to the connector and that specific web map. Press return. First thing it's going to do is say, I'm not letting you in unless you're authorized. So I have to provide my ArcGIS Online credentials. And this is somebody else. Let me make it clear. This is you, and this is somebody else. No, sorry. This is you, and this is how you're going to share the information. I'll get to somebody else in a minute. So, I got the same stuff. You notice over here, XchangeCore Connector. Over here, you've got ArcGIS Training. Same things as you saw on either side. If I come up here in the connector, and we're in the connector, and you see this little button up there, I have the same layers that you had over here in your web map. So I am wrapping this connector around your web map in order to do things with it. First thing I'm going to do is connect into the core. This is the Clearinghouse core. It's right there. I'm going to fetch, and it would come up and ask me for credentials here. I was in here earlier. Would ask me.
Could I check for just one quick stop?
Yes, please.
Where did you click for this XchangeCore app to come up?
Right up here in the right-hand corner, the little XchangeCore logo.
Oh, I don't see it.
You're,
I think what Lana is saying is, you know, once you did her ArcGIS Online, how does she get to the XchangeCore Connector?
okay, this URL, this one right here that I cut right out of the user's guide, I paste into my browser, and then I add the web map that I copied out of there, the one that makes it mine, and I add it right in here to replace the web map ID that was there.
Right, I got that. And
Okay.
then you clicked on something to come up with this ArcGIS XchangeCore app, the window that just popped
Right,
up.
yep, and
How
it's
did that come up?
right up here. You might want to just pull your browsers over to a little wider, just that it comes up in the right-hand corner of your map.
Oh, is that button with the red arrows?
Yes.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
All right. So you're going to click on this, which is the XchangeCore logo, and click on that one, and then this pop-up window shows up. This https cal-oes keystone.response spot-on-response.com is also in the user's guide. You fetch, and you will be required to provide credentials the first time you do it. And Ann has provided the credentials to everybody who's asked. And you now have created the beginning of a relationship between your ArcGIS data and the data that's in XchangeCore that has come from all over the place, from WebEOC and Spot on Response and other ArcGIS Onlines and all the other things that you've seen in the past. And that relationship is between these dots and this list of things over here, the tree limb down, landslide areas, all that stuff. These are incidents, or we call them items of interest, that are in XchangeCore. You are going to relate these dots to these incidents. You're going to say this dot might relate to that tree falling down. These 10 dots might relate to that school closure. That's the ultimate. When we were working yesterday, and I was doing this with Phil, he kept asking, well, where do I go to see the GIS data? Good question. So what we decided to do was to create something that you see down here called GIS Capstone 2015. It's an item of interest. It sits over here with the good things and the bad things that are sitting here. And for now, think that this is where we put all the GIS information. I think we can do better than that. I think we can come up with some categories, because maybe model results go one place, infrastructure information goes another place, reports of disaster or of negative impacts go someplace else. So I think the Clearinghouse people can work together to establish some words over here, part of that essential elements of information that we've been talking about, that relate them. But for now, all our GIS is going to go into this one place.
And this is Anne, just to expand on that a little bit. That, again, as I said at the beginning of the call, for this exercise and what we're doing, the capability to share information between different technologies, and that's something that we've never been able to do. If all you want to do is share information from one ArcGIS Online to another, you can do that. But, as we found out, that there are lots of organizations that don't use ArcGIS Online. One of our partners that we're going to be working with in this exercise, ES10, Cal EPA, they don't use ArcGIS Online. They have other technology. They have more of a text-based. So if you only have your information in ArcGIS Online, they're not going to be seeing it. And for why that's important, for the South Nampa earthquake, Cal EPA deals with drinking water issues, and I spoke to them after the earthquake, and I explained to them the phenomena of afterslip and how that resulted in additional adjustments, at the surface that ended up triggering water breaks. That's been, wow, we had no idea. We were wondering exactly that. Why were we getting reports of water lines breaking, a day to 2 days after the earthquake? It's because they weren't aware of that information. And if it's only in ArcGIS Online or only in, like DGS uses QGIS, that's another one, they're not going to be aware of it. They're not going to see it. But that is definitely information they're interested in. So that's why we're using this technology. And that's what we're focusing on for this exercise, is the ability to share information. And then the discussion that Jim just talked about how to start orchestrating data. These are all new processes. This is something new that we've never been able to do before. So that's what we're hoping to learn from this exercise, is to find out using what types of data, how are they using it, and then we can start having more discussions about how we can orchestrate the data before you start sharing it out. So categorizing the information, like Jim was talking about, creating specific instances here. So maybe we could have the GIS capstone engineering information, or GIS capstone liquefaction, or not even that, or GIS capstone ground failure, or GIS environmental. So, and these are discussions that we're going to need to have. These are these topics that we've never tackled before. So these are the things that we're trying to learn from the exercise. I just want to set everybody's expectations about what we're doing and what the purpose is, and what we're hoping to learn and be able to do going forward. So, sorry, thanks.
Nope, that's fine. So now we're going to go through a set of steps to be able to identify the dots over here on the left-hand side and share them out to XchangeCore in this capstone. So the first thing I want to do is select some features. I do that and I get this list and it says to me, what features do you want to select? Well, I'm going to stay with McDonald's here. And I'm going to click and say I want to select some McDonald's. Well, how am I going to do that? I'm going to come in here and I can do a single one. Say, there you go. That's the McDonald's I want to have. You see all the information there. I can move that over. I can select a multiple, and I can draw a little box and say, here are a bunch of them as well. Or I can do a buffer. And that buffer I can do as a point or a line or a polygon. I can set the distance around it. Or I can do it around an incident. And you see this, this GIS capstone we stuck over here. So if I put 10 miles around there and click on incident, with any luck, there we go. I find the McDonald's that are within 10 miles of that incident. So I now don't have to worry about food. I only have to worry about shelter. All right, we've done that. I've identified that these are the things that I care about right now by drawing lines and doing polygons. Next step is I come over here to features, because I'm going to add these features to this item over here, the GIS capstone. I could add the whole map. You'll remember if you were in that training. I could add the whole layer, but I don't want to have every McDonald's in California. I want to know the ones that are going to be able to deliver me food to this particular shelter, let's say. And I click on features. When I click on features, I've got this little pop-up. First one is up here at the top. This tells me in XchangeCore what the name of this GIS capstone is. There's this whole bunch of number stuff there. Secondly is this URL. I'm going to roll down this URL to the right a little bit and show you what that is. It tells me that this is distribution, retail sales distribution outlets that are there. Same thing that you saw. Tells me that it's a feature server that is providing it. And then it begins to show me these object IDs. I'm just digging into this for those of you who really dig into ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS. And right here we have a number, 28, 26, 44, 0. That is the object ID for one of these things. What I've done in my ArcGIS Online connector for XchangeCore is I've identified all these things. I've now produced this REST query that tells me to be able to look at these specific objects. Now, there are two choices below that. One is JSON, one is KMZ. JSON is the ArcGIS Online way to put information out. If you click on that, that URL is going to be sent off to the Open Geospatial Consortium map context document that sits inside of XchangeCore. If you click on KMZ, you're going to get nothing because this is a feature server. Feature servers, Esri has not allowed feature servers at the present time to produce a KMZ. If that data had been produced by a map server, you would have a URL there that would direct you to that map server. And we'll do that in a minute just to illustrate that. But data drives all of this. We've done our best to figure out what the data does, but you're going to find sometimes that it does A and other times that it does B. And it's all how the ArcGIS data has been constructed. My map name up here, AGOL training, same map name, map title. I'm going to change this to McDonald's within 10 miles of this and submit that. When I submit that, it tells me it's been successfully added to XchangeCore already. So I have now associated these 6 or 8 items there to this thing that's in XchangeCore. And the 2 of them are now sitting there ready to go to do whatever anybody else wants to do. Because I'm sitting here as just me with one browser open. But if you had been following these instructions, hopefully Svetlana you have been, you can go in there and you can pull these guys out. And let me show you how you do that. First of all, I'm going to come back here to my regular ArcGIS Online. And I'm going to turn off all those sales distribution guys. So that this is where I want this data to come and eventually show up. I've been using my XchangeCore Connector. I've got all these things, and what I'm going to do is, so let me just close this. It always is good to refresh this periodically when you've been doing a number of different things like I have been. And I now have all the information that we had before. Here's my GIS capstone. I'm going to click on that. And what I now want to do is take the information out of here and put it into my ArcGIS. All right, I do that by this little arrow content. Take this and move it to content. My content, you'll recall, is a part of ArcGIS Online. So I'm going to click on that button. And what I get here is all of the layers that anybody has put into XchangeCore in the OGC map context document. And down here you see MD within 10 miles of this. That's the one we just did. Here are a couple of others that were done over the last couple of days. And if there had been other people out there doing it, there would have been more things here as well. In order to do that, I want to click on that, and I'm going to submit my map context to my content. Click on that, it spins off for a second. Sometimes this can take a minute or so when it gets tossed back into the ArcGIS Online. That was nice and quick though. And I'm going to say, okay, it's been successfully sent. I'm going to come back over here to the web map that we started with. I'm going to come over here to my content. I'm going to come up to the main directory that you're using. And what I have here, let me just refresh this by clicking on the modified. What I have here are sales distribution outlets. It doesn't have a date there, but it's done this a couple more times today, but let's assume that we've got it there. So what I want to do is now add that layer to the map, not my new map. It goes off there. It's spinning around for a minute. It brings up only the things we had, and there are the 6 specific things that we had circled before, right over here. And the guys that were right around that area, they have now been moved into my content, and therefore permanently available for you to put on any map you want to. So I got this. Yep, go ahead.
So, an example of where this could be important is, so say geologists are out there and they're providing information, again, use myself as an example, traveling around the earthquake region, reporting information about liquefaction. And I'm not really paying attention to where I'm at in terms of which city, but I'm just, chugging along, adding dots on the map. Here's liquefaction. But say, I'm with the city of Hayward, and I don't all of the map. I don't want all the dots, or liquefaction to all the surrounding cities. I'm just interested in what's in Hayward. So, this is where, again, being able to share out just a subset of information is really important, because I'm one person who's out there providing information back, but City of Hayward doesn't need all of it. They just want that specific subset for what's in their city. So they could just be pulling in just the information that's relevant to them. But likewise, all those other jurisdictions, the county might want to pull in everything for the county level. All the cities in Alameda County. But, you know, the individual cities might, again, just want what's relevant to them. So this is where it's important to be able to share out and help orchestrate your information. In a big disaster, you're now getting all kinds of information relating to different topics, different incidents, but you don't know who's going to need what and how they're going to find them. So this offers everybody the flexibility to pick and choose the information that's relevant to them. So that's one of the reasons for doing this.
So we've seen these show up here, and again, this is data. If I click on that, I don't get anything. Let me come over here to, where did that come from? This sales distribution incident. There we go. This is the one that we just, let me turn those guys off. Turn these guys off. This is what we just pulled up, and you still have all the capabilities here to enable pop-up. So if I pop over there, I'm going to see I got McDonald's. So that's all the information that was in that other map. And I wish I could be two people here, but in that other map, in that other ArcGIS, is now available in this ArcGIS. And it's available elsewhere. I'm going to pull up two other things. Google Maps. You see over here, this GIS capstone item. If I click on that, and click on the map context, and come over here and click on that, I get that same list that we saw. This is looking into that list that was right over here. This list says, I'm in ArcGIS Online and I'm looking at all this data. Over here, I'm a Google Earth and I'm looking at all this data. Now, it happens that Google Earth doesn't read the specific way that ArcGIS Online puts this out as a JSON. If this has been put out as a KML, ArcGIS Online would read it. But I can't control what the applications do. I can only give you the data. So at absolute worst, over here, this guy is going to come over here, and in a second, it's going to pull up the ArcGIS service directory that will show me at least where I can go off and get that data. And it's killing me right now, so I'm not going to do that. So I can get it in ArcGIS. There we go, an error occurred. But what this allows me to do is know that there is data out there and begin to manipulate it in some way that I want to. So let's review quickly. I'm over here, person A, and I've got data. I'm going to have, I haven't done these. Brand new tribe right here. Whole bunch of California schools. Lots of them. Boy, tons of them. Okay. I've never seen those before. I want to come over here to my connector. Person A, and I'm going to have California schools. Ton of those over there. Now I have California schools. I'm going to click on my ArcGIS connector. Clean that off for right now. I'm going to throw this data into Capstone. I'm going to go out there and select some features. I'm going to make them California schools. Just to do it quickly, I'm just going to make a multiple, and I'm going to do this little group of schools over there. Got a bunch of them. I'm going to save them as features to XchangeCore. Got all that information. No KMZ because they in fact are only feature servers. I'm going to call them schools in the box. And I'm going to save it. It comes back and tells me it was successfully saved. All right, I am now somebody else. I say, gee, I sure would like to know what data people are looking at that is GIS data. I'm going to come in here to Capstone. I'm going to say, hey, let me see what's there that I could put into my content. Here are my schools in the box. I'm going to select that. I'm going to submit it. It successfully was submitted. I'm still me, but I'm coming out of my connector. I'm going into my web map that I have been working with before. I'm coming back to my content. It's the main directory that it goes into, and guess what I see up here? CA schools, California schools, and then they always have the dash incident, meaning that it has been associated with an incident. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add it to a new map. How about that? Clean that map off, and I now have a new map that's right there, and here are my schools that were the ones that were in that box that I did. If I wanted to now come off there into my content and say, I'm really concerned about those schools and those McDonald's. I got to make sure that the kids in the McDonald's. I'm going to add this to the same map. And now I've got my school kids, and we all know that they can get to this one McDonald's that's sitting right there. So I got my McDonald's. I got my schools. I can now save this as a brand new map. And it's going to be schools for demo. What the heck? Yeah, I could type. Save that map. I now have a brand new map. You know what I can do with that brand new map that just has a couple things on it? I can save that as a web map. This is now person number 3. They're able to come in there, replace that, and I'm going to get my brand new web map if I type my name in here. And there is brand new web map, person number 3, seeing the schools that have been added into there that are part of XchangeCore. And I now, as person number 3, if I have, I don't know what, gardening centers, I could now come in and say, hey, I got all this stuff. I'm now going to share my gardening centers out to you. And I'm going to do that because we now all know we have GIS Capstone. I'm going to select my gardening center features, and I'm going to share them out with everybody. So after the kids have their McDonald's, they can go out and dig holes. So that's the story. Ann, over to you.
Yeah, so great. Thanks, Jim. So, again, we're trying to illustrate some basic concepts here that in a disaster, everybody's going to have information to share, but everybody's going to need to use it differently, and they're going to need different parts of it. Some people are going to want everything, some people are only going to want a small portion of it, and they're going to want to create a new map and share that out. So that's what we're focusing on for the exercise. That's called that basic concept. That's something we've never been able to do before. It used to be you'd have to train, you'd have to have the tool, you'd have to join a ArcGIS Online where you'd have to use, everything was stovepiped or silos, the way they refer to it. But, if we can connect applications, or now that we can connect applications through XchangeCore, the information, which again, the information should be accessible to everybody and be able to be used on any type of application. And that's what we're trying to focus on. So, we're gonna want you to practice. Think about how your organization, what kind of information do you have? What kind of information will you be looking for? How can you, look through that list of different types of list of incidents, see what's in each one, and what information would you want to grab from each one of those to create your own map. That's what we're trying to start. That's the conversation we're starting to have now. So I hope you can all go off and practice that. And it's a little after already, so I'm gonna wrap things. And you should all have gotten an email about the meeting at 10 o'clock this Thursday. We'll talk about the exercise itself. Any final questions?
Yeah. In the summary, I have one request for the future. if we could go over how to add all of the incidents at one time, okay? And that would be helpful. Okay.
Louis, what do you mean by that? I heard what you said. I don't quite understand.
So what I mean, ArcGIS XchangeCore app, so where the fetch and then all the incidents listed on the left. Like if I would want to add also to my content at the same time, that way I can bring all of them. I want to show all of the incidents, not just one and it's related to teachers. Is there a way that I can use the XchangeCore Connector to bring all of the incidents?
Do you mean all the incidents? So there's a whole list there are many, many incidents. And rather than you saw Jim today associate particular records of columns to a particular incident, okay, the McDonald's to the Capstone 2015, you're looking at all those different incidents that we're seeing on the left side of the XchangeCore window. You'd like to bring them all in. Is that right?
Correct.
Yep. And that's a pretty simple piece. It is done by the add layer from web. Yes, from web. And there is a URL that Anne can provide for you. Actually, it's in the user's guide. And they come in as a GORSS feed. So what you're seeing here is all those incidents that on the connector were done individually. This is all of them. And so yep. We can definitely add that. I just wanted to quickly show you that it's there, and happy to focus on that next time for a couple minutes.